Good morning from Sharon, and here I am again, and we'll start with birthdays. Now, we've had a couple of events in last week. Let's see, yesterday it was Bryony's birthday and she was 12 years old. Happy birthday, Bryony. I hope you had a great day. And we also have a baptism anniversary, 4 years for Ava. So happy anniversary, Ava, and I hope you're too having a great day. Right, I'll just do a quick glimpse at the craft. As usual, there'll be a video right at the end of this playlist for today, and it will give you all the instructions how to make it yourself. But what we'll be making is a flame headband. So you'll see when I read the story exactly how that fits into our story today, and then we'll go and watch the video and make your own Pentecost headband. Okay, so we're going to get ready for our story today. And so we're looking at the story of Pentecost, which is a really important story with the Christian faith, and something exciting I think is going to happen in our story today. Hurry, hurry, it's nearly time. Men, women, children, grannies and granddads, aunts, uncles and cousins were arriving in Jerusalem from all over the world for a special Jewish festival. But this was to be a Pentecost like never before. No one was expecting what would happen next. A Pentecost celebration that would change the world. Well, the disciples were here in Jerusalem already, of course. They were still all together in one house, just as Jesus had told them. They were praying and waiting, wondering when the promised Holy Spirit would come. They asked each other, "How will we know when the Spirit comes?" Well, they didn't have long to wait before they found out. When the day of Pentecost arrived, the disciples' prayer time was interrupted with what sounded like a hurricane-force wind whoosh, rushing through. But wait, the sound wasn't coming from outside the building. This was no freak storm. The sound was filling the house on the inside. Whoosh! And then a pillar of fire appeared, which separated into flames and rested on each of the disciples. Rested on each of the disciples, but nothing and no one was burnt. And at that moment, each of the disciples was filled with the promised Holy Spirit. Each of them felt a surge of fearless excitement and started to speak loudly and boldly about all the wonderful things they had seen God do. They were no longer afraid. But something else was different too. The disciples were speaking in different languages. Languages they'd never learnt. No foreign language for beginners course for them. The Holy Spirit was helping them. And outside, a crowd began to gather around the house the disciples were in. All the visitors from around the world had heard the rushing wind too. They all ran to see what was happening. There was lots of pushing and shoving and trying to get to the front of the crowd. Then, wide-eyed with amazement, as they each heard the wonderful news of God being proclaimed in their own language. "Aren't all these men from Galilee?" shouted a man from Africa. "Yes, they are," shouted another. "But I can understand every word they say, and I'm from Persia." "Me too," agreed a man from Asia. "They are telling us all how wonderful God is." Almost the whole crowd was buzzing with excitement and asking, "What's happening here? And what can it mean?" But one or two people made fun of the disciples. They accused them of drinking too much wine. And so over to Pete, who's going to give us some thoughts on that amazing story today.